Hey, welcome back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next few hours. So we've got some really hot temperatures today, and it's going to be much cooler tomorrow with some outbreaks of rain. Then we'll have a look at the weather going out through next week for the next 8 to 10 day period. Looks like it's going to be turning quite a bit cooler, or staying quite a bit cooler into next week. Not sure it's going to be all that unsettled, but it's a bit uncertain, really uncertain weather patterns again. Always the case in September. There's hurricanes beginning to get generated down in the tropics, and whilst we're thousands of miles away from those hurricanes, the ripple effect from the hurricane spreads out across the northern hemisphere, because what a hurricane is basically doing is dumping hot air from the tropics in the pole, and in the process it creates a ripple effect across the northern hemisphere that really makes the weather patterns very uncertain. It's always the case in September that you get this. Now, before I get on with that, just want to talk about the advertisements. Green Keyword Ads on my pages at GazWebBiz.com. If you right cursor over green keywords, spell display ads, if you click free word, you go to the advertised website, BeSportingGazWebBiz.com. by doing that. So, as I say, we've got a really hot day coming up today. There's been a dreadful pile up down in Kent in fog, but most of that fog has gone now, and we're going to see the temperatures getting up towards the 30-degree mark today. This is indicating from the GFS model, the maximum temperature forecast, indicating temperatures getting up to 27, 28, 29 degrees. That's hot enough, of course, for early September, but we can probably increase that to, say, 30. At the outside, central London could get up to 31 degrees today. That's 88 Fahrenheit. Now, that's some way short from the all-time September record. If you want to know what the all-time September record is, it's 35 degrees, so that's around 95 Fahrenheit, set on the 1st of September 1906. It's one of the longest standing temperature records still going, that one from 1906. So we're some way short of the all-time temperature record for September, but nevertheless that's very hot, really, 30, 31 degrees. But tomorrow will be very different, and the indication of that is up to the north, where this is indicating temperatures of just 12 to 16 degrees. So obviously it's much cooler up in the north. That cool air its way south, so as we go through to tomorrow, these are tomorrow's maximum temperatures. We may creep up to 19 or 20 in the far south or southeast, but generally we're going to be around 16, 17 degrees at best. Many degrees lower, and it really will feel autumnal. You really will notice the difference. And what's bringing this is a cold front that's going to be producing quite a lot of rain if we take the rainfall forecast and the high resolution NAE model seriously. And I have to say there has to be a bit of doubt about this, because these rainfall forecasts have been pretty dire actually this summer, been very disappointing, particularly for high resolution models. The rainfall it's been going for at times this summer has been very much a letdown. So I'd say big health warning with this, but this is what it's going for 6 o'clock in the morning, with an area of rain coming up from southern England in towards the Midlands. And then as we move through to midday tomorrow, we see the rains have got really quite extensive, particularly for northern England, going down in towards the Midlands and into the south and southeast. Not too much down across Wales and southwest England. I think you may just about get away with it. It really does look as though it's going to be more for the north and the east of the country. And as we move through to 6 o'clock in the evening on Friday, and it will update, there we go, it's updated, we find that we've got the heavy rain still there across northern England, going down in towards East Anglia and the southeast. Well, again, the idea is that for southwestern parts of England and along the south coast into South Wales, we're probably not getting too much rain at all. It really is for North Wales, Northern England and onto the eastern side. The total precipitation forecast from the NAE model that it is going for up to 6 o'clock in the evening tomorrow, and for some reason, there we go, that it's going for 6 o'clock in the evening tomorrow. It's going for anything up to 1 inch of rain, and generally I think we're looking at between around 15 and 20 millimetres, or 10 to 20 millimetres, somewhere in that area. But one or two places, particularly over the Lake District, could get up to 25 millimetres. That is 1 inch of rain. But again, there is a health warning with these rainfall forecasts that we've had this summer. They've been disappointing. So perhaps the rain isn't going to be that heavy or that extensive. We're just going to have to wait and see how this one pans out. But in any case, it's turning more unsettled, and it's turning a lot cooler, and that's going to be the trend, I think, as we go into the weekend and on into next week. So have a look at the GFS temperature ensembles. Remember, the red line is where we should be at this time of year. We see that all members of the temperature ensemble are above average. It's really warm at the moment, but it's pretty much downhill all the way after the next few hours, to be honest. And by the time we get through to the 7th of September, we're actually going to be going below average. We're going below the red line. So yes, temperatures are going to be dropping by many, many degrees in the coming few hours. And then as we go out beyond that, we're going to keep the temperature ensembles below average for quite a few days, actually, just struggling back up towards the average when we get to the middle of the month, say around the 13th or the 14th, something like that. We're going back towards the average. But by that time, there's a lot of scatter coming in. So while some members of the ensemble are going well above average in the second half of the month, many members are keeping it below average, and I say a lot of uncertainty, I think, associated with the middle part of the month. The precipitation spike showing that we're going to have some rainfall coming up in the next few hours, of course, associated with the drop in temperature, and then we're going to keep it quite unsettled through the weekend into the start of next week, to be honest. We have got a lot of rainfall spikes there. The temperature anomalies for the next week, quite interesting, going from the 5th to the 12th of September, Thursday the 5th, Thursday the 12th. Yep, we're going below average. Look, we're in the blue colours, and we've not been in the blue colours on these charts since June. So, big change coming up in the coming week, if this is right. There is a little bit of doubt about the pattern. I'll show you why right now. This is the generic chart from the GFS, and all of that information, the anomalies and the ensembles, are based on the GFS model. This is for Monday the night, so on Monday, and it's showing low pressure over the top of the country. Is going to be unsettled with showers or longer spells of rain through the weekend into the start of next week. But look what the GFS then does as we move through into Tuesday. It takes that low pressure into the North Sea. It bridges the high pressure in off the Atlantic. We're bringing down a northerly wind here. And that's the sort of pattern that it keeps going throughout next week. So that's why it's so cool, because it's keeping low pressure stuck in the North Sea, not moving away to the east. And it's keeping the high pressure out to the west, trying to ridge in, but never able to. And the upshot of that is to bring down a northerly flow across the country through much of next week. Now, it's not particularly unsettled in the west. It will be mainly dry with that ridge of high pressure. In the east, it would be unsettled. You'd be expecting showers or longer spells of rain down the east coast. But the main thing is that the winds are northerly, and of course the air is cooling down very quickly down to the north. So that's the reason that the GFS model is going for quite a cool week, below average temperatures through the coming week. Now, as we get through towards the latter stages and going into the middle of the month, this is Friday the 13th of September, then we start to flatten things off. Finally, we get rid of that low pressure away to the east. We get a ridge of high pressure starting to build to the south. Winds are going back westerly. Westerly, of course, is always a milder direction than northerly. As we go through towards the 10-day period then, which takes us to Sunday the 15th of September, then we start to get a ridge of high pressure. The temperatures do start to pick up. But as we saw on the GFS ensemble, there is a lot of scatter for this period within the ensemble, so there has to be quite a bit of uncertainty about what's going on for the middle of the month. Now, have a look at the ECMWF, just seeing what that is suggesting, and this is for Monday the 9th of September, when the GFS has that big low pressure over the top of the country. This doesn't have the low pressure to the same extent, so it's not as unsettled for the start of next week. As we move through the charts through next week, you see this high pressure trying to ridge in from the west, so it's the same idea as the GFS with the high pressure trying to ridge in, but we haven't got the low pressure to the east. So to be honest, this is a slightly drier, more settled, warmer scenario from the ECMWF next week. Not hot, because the high pressure is centred to the west, and winds are generally coming around it from a northwesterly direction, so not particularly hot, but basically settled, and temperatures close to the seasonal average. As we get through to the 10-day period, it's still the same sort of idea with the high pressure ridge again and the low pressure around Iceland. But there's a lot of uncertainty. Have to emphasise this again, lots of uncertainty for next week's weather, and the reason is that you always get lots of uncertainty at this time of the year. The GM finally, the Canadian model, shows that for Monday we've got the low pressure over the country, and through next week we keep that low pressure sort of going to the southeast actually, so the southeast could get a lot of rain early next week if that is right. And it's the same sort of idea from the GM as it is from the GFS actually, which is that the high pressure is generally centred to the west, the low pressure is generally stuck and not moving away to the east. And again, the upshot is that we've got this persistent northerly wind keeping it really very cool and disappointing. We finally get rid of that low pressure to the east on Thursday the 12th of September, start to extend the high pressure in off the Atlantic, but look what's happening. Low pressure is developing out to the northwest, and that moves the weather system through across the country on Friday the 13th. It turns wet and windy, and that settles us into then quite an unsettled weekend going out to the 14th and the 15th. Low pressure dominating. This low pressure actually coming in on the 15th. This remains of a hurricane, and that turns it quite unsettled and wet and windy over the weekend of the 13th, 14th of the 14th, 15th of September. But the overall idea from all of this is that we're going to be turning it a lot cooler. The heat today is on its way out. Then we'll ring to a much more cooler and autumnal type feel through tomorrow and into the weekend. And then beyond that for next week, probably staying quite cool with showers in the east, mainly dry in the west, but a lot of uncertainty. I'll keep you updated. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.